Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me. Run for it, Marty!
Hey YouTube, Fat Pastor here. Thank you guys for showing up tonight, and man, do we have a show for you tonight. We have from the great state of Tennessee, we have Oops FPV, otherwise known as Casey Quatronics. Are you with us, Casey? I don't have any audio.
How about now?
You was muted.
Good evening, everyone.
Muted.
May I say oops?
Oops, FPV. We have with us the special guest tonight. You probably saw it in the thumbnail. The one and the only, the man behind the microphone, Mr. Joe Scully. How are you, Mr. Joe?
Fantastic, guys. Hope you're doing well tonight.
We are doing great, great, great. Thank you for coming out and joining us tonight. Mr. Scully is on the road to an event, so if he drops out, he'll be right back. We've already got it all set up and worked out, so won't miss a beat with him. So for those of you that don't know, Joe Scully is in my opinion the voice of MultiGP, and if you've it's been said, if you've not had your name called by Joe Scully, you're not really a racer. And
that's right.
Luckily, I've had my name called by Joe Scully. Never at a race, but in the chat several times. Like Fat Pastor said something stupid. So
I wish I could remember some of them, but with a name like Fat Pastor, that definitely sticks out.
Yeah, get in my belly. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, I used to say a lot in the early years that I wanted you. Do you remember Benedict from Micromotor Warehouse?
Yeah, I've actually I've hung out with him a few times.
I would love for the two of you to get together and call a TinyWhoop race. Can you imagine it? You're quick in there, and he's like, and coming around the corner is
I've spent some time with him in Australia. I'm actually going to Australia next week, I think for the 6th time that I've been to the land down under, and probably one of my most memorable times with Benedict. I wasn't feeling good. I think it was, I went for a week to Australia, came home for a week and went back. And it was just too much. And like my neck had all swole up and stuff. So we went into the pharmacy, and the pharmacies in Australia is something wild. Like you don't need a prescription or anything. You're like, this is what I need. And they're like, well, what do you want? And anyway, he was my doctor. Like Benedict was my doctor. He's like, you know, and with that Dracula sounded voice, like, oh, you need some ibuprofen, but the good stuff. You're like, okay, whatever. A little intimidated.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, I love it. He's not even in FPV anymore, is he?
I haven't seen him in a bit. Last time I saw him, I think, was like 2019. And then I saw a few of his like Facebook videos from his back deck, but yeah, I haven't heard from him in a couple of years.
I need to find out how to get in touch with him. I'd love to have him as on the show like you, because he's just, you know, just great. Just
he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
He has, well, when I was riding around with him, he has like a big van, like a transit type van. And he like put in like a big screen, like before Teslas even had big screens. Benedict had like this big
So he's breaking up. He said he was going through some bad area. Joe,
I should
if
be
you can
back
hear-
now, no?
Yeah. You're back now.
Yeah.
We got you.
So in his van, like he didn't have Google Android Auto, like he had like Windows built into this tablet on his dash of his
Wow.
big van. And he was listening to like the music that we used to stream with. You needed that special MP3 player.
Right.
Yeah, just some weird music. But yeah,
Right.
he's quite a guy.
Right. So instead of having the lunchbox FPV, he had the lunch van. Right.
Yes. Yeah. That was pre-lunchbox.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to play a little clip here. It comes from our just a little short clip. Johnny 5. If you, brother, don't. I'm not gonna play it long enough to get a copyright strike, but go and watch his full video on this,
Yeah.
where he's
I love it.
done the voice of drone racing Joe Scully by Johnny 5. I'll put a link here in the description.
It's good.
Go
Dude.
and watch. It's a much better intro than I could do. So let me play just a clip of it here.
Yep.
Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong play. Let's try that one.
A little bit of a roller coaster. My first job as a teenager was being a rodeo clown. Then from there, I wanted to go to school, something along that industry. So I got into radio and became like a radio DJ, and then got too busy and then became a rodeo announcer for about 10 years. Then at a rodeo, an RC car guy who's running a 5th scale track saw me, says, I got to get this guy into RC car racing. So I became an actual race director and commentator, and then from there I was on a viral video with a 5th scale car race, and Fat Shark actually saw me on a YouTube video, and they reached out because they were hosting an event that was about an hour from my house, and they said, we got to get this guy for drone racing. And then from there, it's been a heck of a journey.
All right, we'll let you go and watch the rest of that video off of Johnny 5. So you started off in rodeo, right?
Yeah. My dad got into rodeo when I was about 3 years old. He went to Oklahoma to learn to become a farrier, like a blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
And he learned how to do it there. And then he came home, and I live in Ontario, Canada. That's not really the Wild West or, the home of rodeo, but he came back with some new skills and found some other people that did roping around us. There weren't that many, but as a kid, I grew up around the rodeo arena watching my dad, trials and tribulations. And then we got a farm, and then I started roping and became a teenager, started bull riding and roping. And then, yeah, my official career starting when I was 15 as a rodeo clown in the barrel. And everything in my life kind of goes back to that moment. There's always a tie.
Right. So, and then you went from. So did you do announcing at rodeos and stuff like that first, or was your first announcing thing with?
Well,
RC
so
cars?
I was a rodeo clown, and then I like to think I was a good one, and I loved it. And at the end of high school, my dad was like, "All right, you can either pay rent or get out, or go to school. Like, those are your choices." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Well, what do you want to do with your life?" I'm like, "I want to be a rodeo clown. I want to announce the Calgary Stampede or Cheyenne Frontier Days. Like, this is my jam." And he's like, no, you can go to school or pay rent and get a job or get out of our house. And everything in my life was at the farm. Like, I would ride horses 6 nights a week. We were training horses for sale for the sport of roping cattle, and then also training myself because I competed as well. And so I go to school, I come home, I rope, and it's just rodeo, drinking, loving, fighting cowboys. That's my life, right? Like, so I'm like, all right, well, I really like being a rodeo clown, but I guess I can't do that professionally in my dad's eye. So I went through the college book, and the closest thing to it was radio DJ. And so I went to college for that 3 years in a radio and television program, learned so much, forgot so much. And it's amazing how today, a lot of that stuff I'm still applying to one thing a lot of people, I guess, don't really know about radio DJs is they don't get paid very much.
Right.
So I graduated. I did a couple cool jobs. I did overnights on an oldies station, and then I like voice tracked on a top 40 station, and so I started off a career, but the next station in my trajectory was it's going to be actually kind of where I live now. And they're like, okay, we'd love to hire you. And it works out to being like $19,000 a year. And by the way, you need a 4x4 because we get so much snow here. I'm like, how am I going to afford a 4x4 if you're only paying me $19,000 a year? So I said, that's it. I'm done with that. And then I got into radio sales, and that career just blossomed. So I was still a rodeo clown all this time. It was like my weekend job, and really enjoyed it. But all of a sudden, like, I'm wearing a suit and like going to all these meetings in Toronto and stuff like that. I just couldn't have a sales career and and do the rodeo clowning. So I kind of retired in my early 20s, and then a rodeo company kept trying to hire me back to clown, and I would do a weekend here, a weekend there. And I'm like, I'm not interested in doing this full time, like every weekend. But you know what? If an announcing job ever came up, I might be interested in that, right? Because I enjoyed being a radio DJ and so forth. And so about 2 years later, the rodeo company called me, says, yeah, I want to hire you all next summer. And I said, I'm retired. And he says, no, to announce. And so that was about 2002, I think, about 21 years ago. And I started announcing rodeos. And so that I really apply myself in everything I do. And so I really focused on announcing rodeos, and then up here in Ontario, Canada. Then it started expanding into New York and Pennsylvania, and then really started pushing and finally got to go to the South and did like Florida and Texas. And I eventually entered a contest at the International Finals Rodeo. It's kind of like a semi-pro level of the sport, and they have a competition for announcers and bullfighters and rodeo clowns, trick riders. And so I came in just as this kid from Canada, and I won it the first year that I went in it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm the International Finals Rodeo Contract Act Showcase champion. That was in 2007. And then that really helped me open a lot of doors. And so I kept grinding the rodeo game. And then, like I said, on the Johnny 5 video there, about 7 or 8 years into rodeo announcing, an RC car guy discovered me. And I literally just drove by that track. It's about 2 hours from my house, but it's about 2 miles that way. So he had me like commentate the races, the RC car races. And I was always looking to diversify, because in the North, our rodeo season's a lot like a drone racing season. It's pretty short. It's like May to September. And then you got crazy weather to deal with. So I was always looking for something to supplement my schedule. So I started doing the RC cars. The race director didn't show up once. And then they said, well, can you also be the race director and like run the scoring system? And so I learned how to do that. And then the next year I was like race director, commentator. And I think it was the next year I was on this viral video, and Fat Shark Goggles saw it. And that's how I got into drone racing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, McFly's here just dropped a $9 or $10 super chat and said, Fat Pastor meets a true clown. Mike dropped. I pride myself somewhat on being a nut, and yeah. So I got a few things for you. One, I've tried my hand at calling races, and let me just say this: I want to be like you when I grow up. It's not
flattered.
easy. People think it's easy. It's not easy. And I'm going to pick your brain on something here in a little bit. This here, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I'm doing something different with these, and I'll get to that in a minute. But let me shoot some questions at you real quick. And Casey, if you see any questions, that are serious questions other than, how many rodeo clowns can you fit in a Volkswagen?
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, it is.
But somebody I got some.
I was trying to pick and choose which ones are flashed across our faces or not.
Yeah, well, if there's some that because he's driving for one, he can't be
Yeah.
reading the chat. So if there's
Right.
something that we need that somebody wants, point that out to us while I'm asking a couple of stupid questions.
You don't
If you
want me
could
to-
pick, Joe, if you could pick one job
Go ahead.
that you could do, and if you picked it, you had to do it for the rest of your life until you retired, but you would make plenty of money, not an abundance, but just plenty of money, what would that job be?
Oh, you sound like my wife. She says that all the time because I work 7 days a week.
She's like
my
settled on
COVID
something.
Yeah, so I started doing events full time 2015. So rodeo announcing and drone racing. That's when drone racing started, and it was great. And then COVID hit, and so my COVID pivot was real estate photography, and I've really like latched onto that. And so I do. I mean, I shoot all kinds, but I'm a luxury photographer. I do like a hybrid version of HDR, and so I've gone the full gamut, not going home. I've gone to a rodeo, real estate shoot, and then get on a plane, gone to a drone race. I mean, that's just a good week,
Right.
But my wife,
you call that
like,
a Tuesday, right?
yeah, exactly. So my wife is like, yeah, can you not just pick one thing? And I'm like, well, it's so hard because I've built all these businesses and brands, and I enjoy everything I do. Like, everything has a downside. There's, at the end of the day, it's a job. If you look at it like a job, then, as soon as like this event I'm going to right now, I'm like, it's a job. This is going to suck. I'm not going to have any fun. And then you gotta coax yourself into having a good time with it. Right. So but I mean, with drone racing, I love it. There's such a diverse group of people, all ages, all backgrounds, and we get to spend a lot of time, like, between races or during downtime with weather, or going out for dinner, or even hanging out in the airport and meeting some of these people, like people that have been on battle bots, and people that fly commercial airline pilots and private jet pilots, and people that are covertly working with militaries and stuff like that. I find it fascinating. And a lot of the OGs who kind of retired, I mean, they've gone into other things, like Nurk, who's flying with Mr. Beast, and Mr. Steele, who never really was a racer, but did race a little bit. Right. He's kind of gone in his direction. Johnny FPV, I miss seeing a lot of those people, because we grew up together in drone racing in the very beginning.
Yeah. Tommy Kabahia didn't. He filmed Deadliest Catch, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Alex Vanover, who kind of Captain Vanover, kind of gets out to a race or two, but mostly DRL. Like, he was on that ambulance movie, like doing most of the film work with that, with Jet. So it's kind of cool to see all these people go into other careers, but we grew up together, and so we were at these races where we'd be shut down for hours, and there was always technical problems. And MultiGP championship in 2017 was in almost like a big bird cage on a tarmac, and it took every pilot there to hold onto the netting before it all blew away. Like, so, some of the OGs, we've been there, we survived all these battles together. Right. So you kind of miss that. I mean, and that's what I really love about the drone racing is the community. And I know FPV has always been built on a community before even racing. Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I really enjoy that. And then I also travel a lot more with drone racing. So, when I started rodeo announcing and really building up, I got to go to Florida for the first time to announce a rodeo. My parents never took me there. I'm like, look what rodeo has afforded me. And then I got into drone racing, and I've been to France and Spain. This is my 6th trip to Australia. I've been to China twice, Korea 3 times, every corner of the US, coast to coast in Canada. Korea 3 times, and like the opportunities that drone racing has afforded me, it just blows my mind every day. If I were to pick one, I mean, I just really love the drone racing because it is such a challenge that a lot of people don't know all the things that I do behind the scenes, but like I do a lot of the I used to set up all the ground stations and the timing, and I used to do like almost all the administration and stuff like that.
Right.
And so there are all these things that challenge you, and everything that I've fallen into has a nice challenge. That's why I enjoy them. Like with real estate photography, with flash and lighting and stuff, it's all there's a challenge there. But drone racing, it's like the events that I go to, they're all these marquee events with big budgets, and they're in like stadiums, arenas, and all these places where you should never host a drone race because of the RF environment.
Right.
And it's been 2:00 in the morning, and I'm climbing up rafters and putting in repeaters and stuff like that. It's it's a fun challenge that we get to partake in, and that part I really enjoy. But I mean, I'm living the dream, I guess, would be the biggest thing, because I love the real estate photography and what it affords me, which is a great lifestyle, and rodeo, the sport that I've been doing since since I was 3 years old, being able to be a part of that, and I enjoy that compared to a drone race. A rodeo is a 2-hour performance. A drone race, we start sun up and go to past sundown. Long days. So rodeo's perks are their high burst energy, short period of time. But drone racing since late 2014, early 2015 is so many adventures, so many places that we've gone, so many success stories, and met so many people, and I love it.
So basically, you couldn't pick one. out of all of the jobs.
I was trying to lean towards the drone racing. I guess if I had to do,
all right.
If I had to lean against one, I mean, it's I have a lot of fun each and every event. I mean, every event we can come up with some story, something crazy that happened or something crazy that we did. It's it's been a heck of a ride.
Right. See, I'm all about the community, and I started in FPV, in radio control 28 years ago. And
oh wow.
So it's always been about getting together and flying for me. But so I understand that part perfect, because that's where I'm at. That's what this channel is about. I didn't know though that you were into the setting up the timers and repeaters and all of that kind of stuff. That leads me into something here that I'll go ahead and get your opinion on. It is this. This is Mondo. Let me see if I can get this. All right. This is something that I've talked with a lot of people about. I even had Jeff, from the head dev from RotoHazard, on, and I've been trying to get someone to make a cheaper version of a lap timer. Yes. And I think we found someone here. This is a little short video. I'm not going to play it all, but there'll be a link in the description.
My hand right here is a nuclear hazard FPV timer. So it's a rotor hazard timer, but it's way easier to get your hands on, because typically you have to build your own 32 blue pill timer, and I had to source every single component in this. I had to source the PCBs, I had to get all of the resistors, all the little the STM32 processor blue pill board, and I had to get all the VRXs, and I had to solder every single pin, and that wasn't fun. But this comes all pre-assembled. All you have to do is configure your own Raspberry Pi, which means you also need an SD card, but then you just plug it in to this, because it comes ready to go with the VRXs and the VTX boards all plugged in. And as you can see, right after I configured it, it's ready to go. And it only took me 20 minutes to set it up, which is a bunch of just copy and pasting off of their GitHub. And then,
so yeah, if you want to finish this, I don't like to show everybody's complete video. Go to Mondo's channel and let me share a link to that real quick in the chat so that you can go watch that. But $100 for a lap timer. Let me show you this
And they're great.
here. It's actually $60. Wait.
Sure.
You don't have that screen. Hang on. A little technical difficulty. Let me try this. I'm still kind of new to this software. Nuclear Quads has come out with this, and they have an Etsy store, which come on, here we go. There we go. This is Nuclear Quads. This is their Etsy store. You can buy this timer for $60. It does not come with a case. That's why he's saying for like $100 you can get it. And I just ordered one, and it comes with 4 of the receivers, but you can buy them more for $6. So I got like an 8-channel race timer, which I've got 3 Roto Hazard timers. I don't even know where they're all at. So I'm not starving for timers, but I was so pleased when I saw that this was out there and would make it so that smaller coordinators and directors could put together a race. Have you had any experience with Roto Hazard at all?
No. So the first race that we hosted, it was actually February of 2015. It was the first race in the world that was actually timed. There wasn't any other drone race that was timed. So Fat Shark was actually the owner's brother. The owner of Fat Shark at the time's brother found me, and he's like, we're doing this a fun fly in August, and we want to have drone racing. We had drone racing at it last year, but we didn't really know what was going on. It was a mess. So we want you to come and run this race. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I said, well, what do you do for timing? They're like, oh, we have no idea. And so no one had any idea at this point. So I went to my RC car people and got the RC car gear, the actual MyLapse transponders that they have in the 5th scale and 8th scale, the loop that we use. I worked with MyLapse, their engineering department, did a lot of experimenting because the gear, it had never been done. And that race actually worked. I think I had probably 95% read rate, every drone going by. Now, it was a really exciting event. I think it was called the Air Race Arena Showdown. And Ryan Gurry, who you may know from DRL, he used to be on, he was the guy who actually launched DRL with Nick H. I don't want to butcher his last name. And so he was in probably the first 6 or 7 seasons. He was just waving a flag and stuff, the guy with the glasses. Nick H came from Tough Mudder and found Ryan Gurry. Together, they created and launched DRL. Ryan came to my race. This is before I think he even really started talking to Nick about DRL. And he was the top qualifier. But like most people in drone racing, he didn't understand the format and stuff. So he flew in for qualifying day and left, didn't race in the mains. But he still totes that, that first ever time drone race in Canada, he was the top qualifier, which he was. Hey. He was the fastest. And so I hosted another event. It was later that summer. So the big race that a lot of people saw, I mean, everyone who got into drones, it was from a Sharpoo video, but a lot of people who got into racing on the hype on Drone Nationals. That was on Governor's Island in New York. I think it was $100,000 prize pool. And then the world championship that year was supposed to be a $500,000 and a $250,000. And I don't know what the prize pool was at the end, but all that hype around the first, US Drone Nationals, which was actually title sponsored by Fat Shark, the Fat Shark US Drone Nationals in Sacramento, California that year. So it was actually a week before my event that had been scheduled for 8 months. And so we called ours the Canadian Drone Nationals, kind of tongue in cheek.
Right.
Also sponsored by Fat Shark because it was hosted by Fat Shark and attended by Fat Shark. And so as that race was going, I reached out to MyLapse, the timing company. I'm like, all right, I used RC car transponders. They worked well. But they're like, and so I need more of these transponders for this race to run efficiently. So I tried to work a deal out with them. They put me on to engineering, and then they recommended the bib tag that runners use. And so they sent me a bunch of those, and I hooked them on my clothesline because I didn't have any drones at that time. I didn't have drones for another 2-3 years. And I was whipping them back and forth on my clothesline over the timer. And so I was getting like a 50% hit rate. And we went to the event, and timing was garbage. Did not work. And what it was is the video transmitter was overpowering even though they're not on the same frequencies. Like I think they were like 900 or less. Versus the 5.8 of the video transmitter, but there's just so much, and from the ESC, so we figured there was so much bleed from the ESCs and from the video transmitter. It was swamping the little VTX thing,
Right.
and so also attending that event was Tony Cake from Immersion RC, and
Right.
so we were drinking. It was a multiple day night, and so we were drinking. And he's like, and I was like complaining about my timing system, and he's like, "Well, what are you trying to do?" I said, well, when it crosses a line, there's 2 lines. And when it crosses the 2 lines, it goes, I see you, I don't, and, in the middle. And he's like, that's it. Very interesting. And we could only get it to work if we put like aluminum foil between the thing, between the transponder and the quad, and had it out on an arm or an antenna. We could get it to work that way.
Right.
And he's like, it's very interesting. He's like, what's on every drone? I'm like, camera. He's like, no, what else? I'm like, video transmitter? No. I mean, well, the answer was video transmitter.
Right.
He's like, every drone is a video transmitter. What if you knew that a drone had crossed your bubble and what channel it was, and you could get the scoring software to just look for channel? I'm like, yeah, that would probably work. He's like, leave it with me. And then all of a sudden in the spring of 2016, the Immersion RC 8-way V1 came into fruition.
Right.
And so in a way, that was kind of my product.
Right. Oh yeah.
And so we used it there, and we learned a lot, and it was probably a 95% read rate. And then back to the drone world situation, TBS had also been working on a timing system, and they were the sponsor. Like Immersion and Fat Shark were the sponsor of the US Championship, and then TBS became the sponsor of the World Championship. And so they used their timer at that event, the World Championship. And there was a lot of problems with that event, but the timer also was malfunctioning because it kept getting wet. And it's plastic, plastic cover and all that. And so Immersion, I already had V3 of the Immersion RC 8-way. It had timed the Sebring drone race that year. I think it had timed one of the MultiGP championships that year. I was using it, the version 3. Well, all of a sudden, after seeing the weaknesses of TBS's unit at Worlds, they did a lot more innovation. And now, like the 8-way, which you can't buy anymore, that has that answers all of the issues. And so they're sold out. You can't get one. They stopped making them. They're now coming out with a V2 eventually. They keep saying that. I guess it'd be
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. It'd be actually like version 6, but the latest in a iteration of it. But Immersion was bought by Orca, and then Orca has had their issues getting parts and everything else going on with them, and so that just kept putting on the back burner. So it's no surprise to see all these other software or hardware solutions coming into play, And I definitely encourage it, because when we set up a race, and again, I work behind the scenes on a lot of logistics and stuff like that. I've constantly said, we got people setting up all these things, especially with all the networking. And I'm always losing my mind. I'm like, we need the timer out there. We need the timer out there. And someone's like, well, no, we need the PA. No, we need the networking. We need the internet for the live stream. And we need to start running goggle cables, this, that, and the other thing. And, the race director in me from RC car racing, like, we don't have a race if we don't have timing. It's been great to see. Now there's been a lot of different hardware and software that have come out over the years to compete with the 8-way, and then the event timer, or whatever TBS's unit was. It could be more simple. It could be less expensive, which is great, because a lot of chapters, race hosts, it's their own personal money. Like, they're an enthusiast. There isn't anyone putting on races around them, so they've done everything they could to organize race, find some other like-minded people, and build a MultiGP chapter, right? And you got to start somewhere. There's the puck, you start with that, and now we want to run more than 4 at a time, because we can. It's 2023.
Well, and the puck, you do good if you get more than two at a time on that, really. So since the beginning, I've been following the timing situation. One of the things that on some of the software / hardware, there's been so many people collaborating and over engineering. So there's issues with timing DJI, and prior to DJI, there was a system called Connex, and the digital transmission on DJI and on the Connex, if you're closer to the receiver, to the pilot, it drops its power down for some reason, like to conserve. And then when it goes to the back of the track, it goes up. And the whole genius of the Immersion RC 8-way and how it's set in our live time scoring is that you have a base, and you can tune that base, but you want someone who's on 25 milliwatt on channel 2 to ping, not any other channels, and not to redline. You want that bubble. You make a bubble, and you make it just so that it's a small bubble. So it's averaging, and it's a straight line, but if you have to start working in these digital systems, you have to start changing that bubble. And so analog, it's a bigger bubble, and which a lot of people wouldn't even realize it until someone goes towards the finish gate and crashes before the finish gate, and it goes ping, because the bubble is so big and it saw it. Now it doesn't see it, ping. And so the over engineering came in to accommodate those digital systems. And so they were looking at, well, this pass, if the person passes low, and so we'll modify it. And it created more problems and headaches than anything else. And I think it helped with the Immersion 8-way sales, because people were using these things that were over engineering, and they were trying to do the right thing, but they weren't. It was causing more problems than what you're trying to solve in that situation. But now it's been the Immersion factory hasn't put out one in a year and a half, 2 years. Everyone who's got looking to get rid of one has sold it, and so I hadn't seen Mondo's video, but we've come a long way from the original Delta 5, which was the main unit that worked with rotor hazard, to now is a nuclear hazard, right? Less expensive and smaller, easier to build, easier to tune. I mean, you heard all those things. Check. Right. I encourage innovation. I mean, look at all the innovation. You look at so many different things in drone racing. It's come from a problem. I think on the nuclear hazard there, the problem is you can't buy a timing system. It's a big problem. And rotor hazard's open source. And see, it's open source. I've used it, Casey and I, back when I started to run, stepped out and said I was going to, run the chapter Soki that I was a part of, and it just kind of died. Someone that's a bigger YouTuber, that I've been a patron to for a long time told me, he said, listen, he said, I don't think you can be a good race director and be friendly all the time. He said, because there are pilots that won't let you do that, because you've got to run the race. And you'll have instances where pilots are like, well, I just give me 2 minutes. I've got to fix something in beta flight. Just give me 2 minutes. Just 2 more minutes. Like, man, I give you 2 minutes. Or it's got to go. And it's people don't realize what all goes into setting up a race and all of that. And when he told me that, I thought, I've been a pastor for 20 years. I can handle people and everything. But here you are in the middle, and you've got video screens in front of you, and you've got all of this, and in that event, we were just in a group of just friends, and everything was working fine, and then all of a sudden, everything got horrible. And we were getting things crossing when it wasn't crossing, and come to find out what it was is Casey's antenna had broken. He had crashed it, and it had broken the antenna, and he probably got it right there, and it was just blasting out signal everywhere. And there at the end of the race, we realized, hey, that's why Casey's on everybody's channel. You learn that stuff the hard way, and the one thing I like about the rotor hazard stuff, I've got, like I said, 3 of them, and then one in this box right there is the Blue Peel new one, and I even sent Bardwell all the pieces to build a Delta 5. He built it and was like, yeah, it's good, but it's hard to do. And I'm excited. $100. I know that Tony Cake said that by chance, I think it was, isn't that what he said? By chance that they will have this next version of the new RF Flap 8 or whatever they call it out.
Yeah, but that's gonna be $400 or $500, right? I think the last one was retailing for $450.
Yeah.
It might have been more. I can't remember.
I would be surprised if it's not at least 6. I'm thinking.
Yeah, it could be. But I mean, if you can build it, as long as you have a timing system, who wins. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's a great tool. But I mean, there's 2 other tools that I use, and use the Casey example. I think the one that's more renowned would be the power meter, which I could tell you so many stories about the power meter. But let's go back to the first International Open. 2017, and International Opens, world's largest drone race and festival, pre-COVID, every single year was 325 pilots or more. That's through registration, with backpacks, tech checked, and going out flying upwards of 8 different courses at the same time, 8 people per course. So at any given time, there could be 64 aircraft in the air at the Academy of Model Aeronautics. What inspired that event was actually that Drone Worlds where I talked about. Now, MultiGP hosted the championship at the AMA in 2016, had 3 tracks running simultaneously, and at that world championship race in Hawaii, they tried to run 2, and they weren't successful. And at the event, there was a lynch mob on the organizers. When you say, you got to be tough on your racers. Well, the racers all turned on the organizer.
No.
And one of the lines, and I brought up Nurk, love Nurk. He actually gave me the moniker, the John Madden of drone racing, which I use to this day. But Nurk was live streaming it. And so Chris Thomas and I were actually watching the live stream while we're on the phone, giggling like schoolgirls, because we've been in precarious situations, but we're like, look at this lynch mob. Have you ever seen anything like it? And
it's like, boom, so he comes out of nowhere.
And so someone was like, well, why couldn't you run 2 tracks like MultiGP? They just ran 3. And so the organizer was yabba 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 yabba, and then Chris basically within the next 10 minutes says, all right, screw it, next one we're running 8. I'm like, 8 what? He's like, 8 tracks. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And then, further conversations were like, okay, we're going to run an event. It's going to have 8 tracks. What's it going to be like? And then Chris Thomas's wife is the biggest Disney fan in the world, loves like the movies and also the park. So they're season pass holders. And so we're talking about what if we can have like a theme park experience. And so you go to a track and like getting on a roller coaster, you line up, except in front of the roller coaster, back of the roller coaster, that's race band 1, race band 8. And then, that was our concept. And then we built on it from there. Now at the 2016 MultiGP race, 3 tracks running at the exact same time, IB Crazy from Video Aerial Systems did a demo, and he ran, it was like 16 analog and 2 digital drones on the exact same course at the exact same time. And we had believed that 8 was our limit. That's based on race ban, the legal channel span that you can use from race band 1 5658 to race band 8 5917. That's the legal range. And then the the bar of your analog is 20 to 30, so 37, like that's scientifically, mathematically, and legally the most you can squeeze in there. But I'd be crazy. Alex Greaves is like, well, we're going to go against that, and we're going to go 20 all the way up. And they successfully did it. And I think almost everyone had fine video. Only one person had bad video. But what we learned from that was numerous things. But the most important one is everyone had to be on the same power, and it was low power, 25 milliwatt, which was the lowest power at the time, right? Other things like alternating polarization, making sure that the ground station / pilot receiver modules are on the corner of the field. All things that we still practice today at major events came into play, but again, low power. So that's 2016. The lynch mob in late 2016, where they couldn't run 2 tracks. Chris Thomas says, we're going to run 8. And so now we're at 2017, IO number 1, and 8 tracks are going. And all of a sudden you're hearing on the radio, I see freestyle at team racing track. I see freestyle at battle track. I see freestyle at the team track. It's just, okay, we get it. You see freestyle. And so Chris Thomas had gone around with a spectrum analyzer, and then it got so bad because like drones are crashing and stuff like that. And so Chris Thomas grabbed someone's radio, and the radio is connected to all 8 tracks. And I was sitting at a track running a race, and I heard the radio, and Chris Thomas says, attention all tracks. The next person that powers on a quad over 25 milliwatts, I have a hammer in my hand, and I'm going to smash the quad. And so he's like, I want everyone to announce that. Now, almost everyone else probably was laughing. They didn't really believe it, but Chris Thomas is my best friend. We've traveled and roomed together a fair bit. I'm like, he's from Texas originally. I mean, he's a man of his word. This is going to happen. And so
going to do it. Yeah.
And so sure enough, like 2 minutes later, I see freestyle on the wing track, and Chris is like, I'm on my way. And then of course, that moment went viral as Chris Thomas smashed a drone with a hammer. And I think a lot more people took it serious, and there was a lot of haterade in the chat on Facebook and so forth. And so again, behind the scenes, I was like the head of that event, like every ground station, every cable, every tent placement, the schedule, the queuing as people stood at the front of the line to get into the computer system. Like that was all, I was the top of that pyramid, right? And as vested in MultiGP as Chris Thomas, he's more invested, but I'm equally as vested in the success of this event and the organization. So Tony Cake was there, and I'm like, oh my God, we can't have this happen again. And I know we're using RF Explorers, but it's not giving us a pass fail. Like I want like the breathalyzer of drones. So someone had mentioned about the power tester that Immersion had. It was this really old, almost Zach Morris cell phone looking thing. And so I'm like, does anyone have one of these? And someone's like, I got one. I'm like, can I borrow that for a little bit? So I grabbed that. I go to Tony Cake. I'm like, all right, I want to take this device and test the power of a drone. He's like, that's what it's made for. I'm like, but I don't want to hook it up. I just want to touch the antenna like a wand and say pass, fail. And he's like, well, you could do that, just use the antenna and attenuate it and this, that, and the other thing. It's not what it's designed for, yada, yada, yada. And so all of a sudden, you know, dispatch, and we got every one of those on property at every single track. And we were able to weed out all those overpowered quads, and the problems went away. And I mean, now we're, you know, we've just hosted our 6th international open, record numbers, you know, every year gets bigger and better. We had to adjust it during the pandemic, so we're not at the 325 yet, but we're still massive numbers, successful event. And, you know, using that philosophy, making sure everyone's on the same power. And you just showed, you know, the product that came out of it, Immersion RC, sold out. They still had some of those old Zach Morris phones. Every store sold out. During a live stream, which was, I think, the MultiGP championship that year, someone was like, what are they doing? They saw it on the live stream that every single heat, we had someone going out there, you know, spinning the antenna around the antenna. And that has changed drone racing. Like, you know, if someone has bad video, we stop, we power test everyone. If we had the people power to, you know, the personnel to test every single quad, every single heat, we would. But you know, that one, you know, timer, and then that's my second biggest thing there. If you read the manual, it talks about Scully mode. There's a Scully mode built into it. I don't use it. I use my own Scully mode, which is what I did, you know, with version 1. But and I did a video on it as well. So there's some people you can use. There's a bar on the OSD that's one way of telling you, like, that's the Scully mode if you read the manual. You know, if it's in this range on the bar, then you're good. Obviously, if it's too high or too low. But the way that I do it is I actually use the numbers, so I calibrate it to a 25 milliwatt. And so when I do the circle around the antenna, it's going to say 25 milliwatt. The reason I do that is when it's overpowered, I just flip my hand over and show the pilot. They're not taking my word for it. They're not having to worry where that bar is or like, you know, everyone, whenever you say you're underpowered or your video is bad, well, it's not my quad. It was fine at home. Yeah, when you're flying by yourself, not through a timer, you know, when you're flying with other people, you're overpowered, you're affecting them. You can also be affected with your own harmonics, and, you know, or, you know, what we soon found to be more, you know, after Hammergate, after power testing at tech registration, periodically throughout the race, whenever there's a problem, we've seen very few overpowered. They're few and far between. What we see now is underpowered, right? And, you know, my gear is fine. I got video. What do you mean you don't? And this, that, and the other thing. It's like, you know, there's a gazillion things I just ramble off my head like a sales guy with objections, right? Well, you have video. It's in your hand, in your lap. It's like you're touching. Like, throw your quad 20 feet. You're not going to have video because A, I don't see it on my ground station. 2, my timer didn't ping. And 3, this device tells you it's underpowered. You're definitely underpowered. Let's get it fixed, you know? So that's been a big tool. And then the RF Explorer, also with that Casey reference, the RF Explorer, setting it up, and I program, and I run it off a computer screen. Someone who does a really good job is Timitron from Australia. Our FPV Bits is his YouTube channel. He live streams every single race. He actually has a scene built up that he puts up before a heat, and it has the RF Explorer, and it actually has a bar on every single channel. And so if you're watching the live stream or you're there in the pits, you actually see the RF. And so, you know, someone powers up and they're on 2 channels, you know, you see it. Or if they're overpowered, you can sometimes see it as well on the RF Explorer. And that thing is a great tool on the sidelines. With the tracer and the what's the TBS long range? What do you have? Crossfire. All that stuff. There's another big problem that people have is when they cross the cables across their VTX, you know, nice, tight, beautiful build. But if they're wires go across their VTX for their control link, that will cause your VTX to be on multiple channels. So you may be on the channel you're assigned, like you may be on race band 6, you may be at 25 milliwatt, but you're also on race band 8 at 200. I don't know. It's
and that's only with Crossfire?
No. That's all these long range systems. If you run your wires across your VTX, it can create the situation where you're on 2 channels. And so that's where, you know, if we have heats and we're in assigned heats and we constantly have problems, that's when, like the RF Explorer, I unhook it from the computer, because you can walk over and you can see it. You power on 1 quad at a time. When back in the day, like 2015, 2016, 2017, races like Sebring and Mega Drone X and stuff, I was a race director, commentator, sitting in one spot. There was a team that supported me. In the 19, 21, 22, now we have someone that runs a scoring system, someone that does all these jobs. But previous, I would just have people come up to me. I would like, bring your quad over, set it on my table. Like I used to race direct like most chapter organizers do now at the major events. Like that was the situation then. And I just power up your quad right on the table, because I would see on my computer screen right there, you know, the 2 channels going up. Before it was a janky antenna. Like if the cap came off and you hit something, and so all of a sudden those wires crossed in the antenna, sometimes that would create, you know, the 2 channel situation. And you know, but other times it's your control, usually your control line going right across your video transmitter doing that. And then from a race director standpoint, you got, you know, like you said, all those issues where you got pilots that are crashed out and they're still ding ding, they're doing laps.
Right.
But now it's as I'm watching that scoring screen, I'm always watching, like, are we getting identical laps from anybody right now? Now, if someone's crashed out and the other person's on 2 channels, you'll see identical laps. But what if both the pilot that's being infringed on is still flying, and now you got twice the reads? It's going to be a nightmare in your scoring software to figure out. And, you know, you're either going to have to do a DVR review or go in and look at the individual passes and figure that out. It is a huge pain. You know, all for that one person. It was like, it was fine. I just took it to a park, you know, between heats. Like, we're an hour between batteries here. It was fine over there. I'm like, well, it's not fine near all these electronics.
Thank you, Marcel, for the super chat. Yeah. We also run into the lure script BTX issue also. We had that was an ordeal at one of our races. It took us a while to figure it out. We'd get everything set, and then somebody turned their radio on, and then bang, they're on 2 or 3 different channels. And it was because their Lua scripts in their radio it would override everything and just spit it back out there. And
the VTX tables was also
and so a lot of that stuff, you know, you've got to learn it the hard way. I literally wrote a note about I'd never heard about wires crossing over your VTX can cause you to have that, and I've literally made a note to put that in my stuff to check.
Yes, definitely.
So
I've never heard of it.
We've seen everything, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more. You know, so that power meter, we were in Korea, and just there as a commentator, one of the very few events of all drone racing where that's my sole role. But every single time I get tagged in for something because it's just out of control, you know. It's
right.
And so I remember the first year, and we were in literally a metal dome, you know, venue that you had no business racing in, and pilots were running all different power levels, and so I'm, you know, had to get it translated and so forth like that. And then I pull out the power meter. I'm like, here you go. And then this one guy goes, no, that's a toy. I'm like, pardon? Like, that's a toy. I'm like, now this thing just came out, and like, my head's not that big, but I'm referred to like 6 times in the freaking manual, right? Like, I'm endorsing the product. I brought this product back from the dead for a purpose. Like,
Right.
I'm not like, Immersion was sponsoring me. I had like ground stations for days and timers and all that, but I never received $1 or commission. You know, but like, what do you mean it's a toy? And then they're like, oh no, we have all this stuff. And they had like the fanciest spectrum analyzers you ever seen, and they weren't catching anything. And so I'm just sitting there, I'm like, toy caught that guy, you know, like I got the live stream. I got all their screens, and then I got my own computer with my RF Explorer, my other toy, hooked up to it. Right. It took a little bit, but now it's like I don't get much back talk anymore, because you know, I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna ask for my help, then you might as well take it, you know. And it's not that, like, I don't have a background in any of this. My background is in broadcasting, radio and television. I'm you know, I used to be a rodeo clown. But you know, I can talk about IMD and harmonics and, you know, ground station placement, and then go on for days about format. Like, it's just stuff that we've acquired, that we've learned. Like, we saw a problem and we found the solution, right? And it gets a little frustrating. You go some places and you'll always have the people that know better. I see it less and less, because you know, you can go to the other places that know better. They don't exist anymore, right? And you know, so we still believe in antenna polarization mismatching, right? Because we run 8 at a time. And there's a mathematical and a scientific purpose for it, but there's also applied examples. And I understand for some pilots, you know, back when, you know, they got the MMCX or whatever, you know, like they're soldered on, you know, I can't change antennas. I'm like, well, we're gonna have to change your channel or something, because we believe in what we've seen for the last 7 years, that alternating polarization lowers the dB just enough, and it's better video. And we've run races where we're like, all right, you know what, just let them do what they want, and then all of a sudden they're like complaining. It's like, oh, the video's bad. Well, can we do what we need to do now? Hold on a sec. I got someone knocking at my window.
Okay.
So you're parking, you're all good?
Not yet. I haven't figured that out, but.
So all the power, you hooked up?
Yeah, I was trying to be as close to the door here. I'm the announcer, but not that door, but I was going to try and find a spot.
Hey, dude, you don't know who Scully is.
Okay.
Oh, shame on them.
Yeah.
Turn
How
left,
dare
go
they?
around the building,
Yeah.
and I will meet you on the other side.
Right now? I can do it right now.
Well, you don't have to do it right now.
Okay. Other side though. So
Yeah, go to the back side, to the other side of the building. So you basically just drive right around.
okay.
And I meet you on the side. And then
What
we
they
got power
got going on here that he can
sweet.
change the
I'll
radio tuner
I'll pull
without
over
touching
there.
it?
I'm doing a live
yeah,
stream
did you
right
see
now.
that?
But I'll pull over. Oh no, you're good.
I thought that was
Ne-
amazing.
Next, he's going to say that he can light
I'll
up a
pull
light
over, and
bulb.
you just on your time, just kind of
By
point me
holding.
out. I can do both at the same time.
He said without
I try my best.
He said
Thanks
he's
for
an
finding me.
RF attenuator.
He don't know who he's talking to, does he?
What?
That guy,
Yeah.
like, I'm the announcer.
Yeah.
Let
Dude,
me
I'm
ask
the-
you this
yeah.
question. Nothing against
Yeah.
Bardwell or anything, but how many times have you heard at a race when something's going on? But I watched the Bardwell's video and they said I could do it this way.
Well, usually Bardwell is right. So
Right,
that's so before
But people's
Hammergate-
interpretation of Bardwell is where the problem happens. Right?
Yeah, sometimes, but usually most people have they understand the level of respect and experience that we have, right? But
Right.
It's kind of funny. I'm trying to remember the other guy. It was from like Mini Quad Test Bench. His name was Matt. I was at a Flight Fest and Bardwell was there, and Mini Quad Test Bench guy was there, and that's when I started asking about, is there a way to power test with the power meter, you know, old school V1 one. And yeah, we had like an hour and a half like geek session, and yeah, both of them you know, said, yeah, the math, you should be able to do it in theory, blah blah blah. And Yeah, it's kind of funny. He's referred to me. I've seen a lot of the Bardwell videos where he refers to me, so I get tagged and I check it out. But I have mad respect for the knowledge that he has.
Oh yes,
for sure.
yes. Yeah, our hobby wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't
Yeah.
for Blue Falcon.
Yeah.
You remember Blue Falcon and Bardwell. But let me ask you one.
So I got to just 1 sec. I'm being pointed to my parking spot. How far up should I go with the truck? Okay, but right along here. All right, perfect. And it's good this far from the building. If you're good there, I'm good. Thank you. There, crisis averted. So Blue Falcon. I got the chance to meet him like a week before he died. He came to Ready Made RC. We did an FPV fest at the AMA, and so got to meet him, and just as genuine of a guy as in his videos. And we became Facebook friends, and then I saw the photo he posted on his motorcycle or whatever, like the night he's like going to bike night, and then all of a sudden like he's gone. And it was really sad, but that's another one of the great memories of getting to meet him. And so I think I only had 2 quads at that time, and I was barely flying an acro. Meanwhile, I'd been in racing for 3 years, but
right.
So, but it was fascinating. All these people who knew who Blue Falcon was, and going up to him like, "Oh man, I love this video about that, and you've taught me this and saved me so much time." And so it was really cool to see a real genuine person. And then, I saw a few of his videos. I'm like, that's the guy, I think. And I think in one of the announcements or whatever, like one of the posts, like my truck, like the last photo, like when they're like rest in peace or whatever, my truck's in the background. It's kind of eerie.
Wow.
My old 350.
I've got a couple more questions, then I can open it up to the people in the chat or let you go on with one. Have you heard about the new VTX and goggle channels that HD Zero's got now? They're in the ham band. They are well down inside the ham band, but I have a ham license myself, just because, and I think that could potentially be good. I think it could potentially throw a whole nother set of issues into the equation.
Well, so Immersion, they came out with low band, which is I think the same set of channels.
Yes, it is. It is lower. Yes.
So, and I'm pretty sure like Immersion came up with the race band. If I'm wrong, don't fry me, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, the first time they used race band was at the Drone Nationals with the Immersion diversity receiver with race on it. But they came out with low band, but illegal in the US to run on analog. But they came up with the wand to program their Tramp video transmitters, which was a genius product. I mean, I still use mine for video testing to cycle through the channels. I have a Tramp hooked up to basically my DVR. And so when we set up ground stations, I use a Tramp VTX and their old school like dog tongue wand, and it's set up as a race, and I go channel 1 tap, channel 2, like 1 click, 2 click, and with something on my hand hooked up to my DVR, so I don't have to find a pilot or a quad and stuff like that. Genius technology. And so I have a wand that is totally unlocked. And so I hosted an event in Canada, and enacted the low band. And the event was sponsored by Fat Shark and Immersion. Everyone who came to the event got an Immersion video transmitter, and or 2 or 3 or whatever. And this is when the Tramp just kind of came out. And it was designed for race purposes, but it was also for the covert situation. Like back in the day, video was so gnarly, antennas were so gnarly, video transmitters were so gnarly, you wanted to fly on the ground station. So all the pilots were flying on ground station, the drones were on the table, we were programming them with this one thing. And so we basically give you one pack when we tap it. And then when next time you power on, it's in pit mode. So you're not powering up in the pits and blowing people out and this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
But you also don't know what channel you're on. And so I hosted a race and we had some interference, and I had the ability, not the legality, but I ran 2 channels in low band and then the other 6 channels in our regular spectrum. Again, when I talk about all the things that we've learned and we believe in, I believe in IMDb. And so I have all these calculators that I use in channel sets. So, you know, this was a really handy tool because I think at that race I had 2 low band and then probably like an A, an E, and an F, you know, like just we use everything, but making sure that we don't have the channel harmonics. Now, not a real scientific test, but if I remember correctly, the situations that we have with the current channel range that we use in analog now, we're still getting Wi-Fi down in those areas, right? Like, I would say not as much, because if you purchase a regular router at Best Buy, it's going to probably be at 5700. But if you're an IT person, especially if you're a drone person, you're going to program it as low as it'll go, which is usually like 5100 or 5300, right in that low band, right? So you do have Wi-Fi interference down there, same as you do in the bigger end of the band. But I think as a positive, if you want to run 8 and sticking with that magic number of 8, now you have more wiggle room. I think it's great that we're going to be able to do that, but it's not the saving grace. I don't think we'll, you know, unless we're at the AMA and we use alternating polarization, all pilots are on the corner of the field and everyone's at the same power, you know, you won't get 16 in the air because you're going to have interferences in there. Just, you know, someone has a router somewhere, someone has a truck somewhere. You know, the MultiGP championship is at the No Quarter Ranch, and but it's in like a suburb and all those houses around it. Like we if someone walked over towards anyone with a phone, walked over, it would turn on like a router that was at someone's house. They weren't home, but as soon as anyone walked over there, just the ping, that thing would wake up, and then it was interfering on one of our channels, right? Like you're still going to have that happening, whether it's high or low. But I think the greatest thing is being able to, now you can use your 8 channels, you can get more separation. You know, I'm a big proponent of the alternating polarization for good reason, but if we're 60 megahertz apart, then we don't need to alternate polarity, right? If, you know, so I think that's a big thing. And immersion, so I guess we kind of helped them innovate a product. We had this thing called the Decimator, FPV diversity box, or the FPV Demon. It's changed its name so many times and they don't make it anymore. But it was an Oracle box. So it has 3 inputs. So we'd hook up 3 different ground stations and run cable, because there's no delay over an analog cable. So we put our ground stations on 3 corners of the track. And so wherever so you got octadiversity, right? Which isn't octaversity, ocversity, which isn't a word, but you get the idea. You have 6 antennas pointing at this drone, and you're going to get the best signal. So anyway, it was a wiring nightmare. We've used that numerous times. I used it in China when we were in like downtown tech district. We had to use it. Like there was so many cables, so many adapters. And so Immersion looked at it and they came out with a new with a product which never went to market because DCL purchased it. But they created a system where there's a central hub, and then all these other, and they look almost like the timing systems, but they just have those on just like almost a timer on a pole. And then there's all 8 channels coming back. And not only did it have like this switching of the Oracle box that I had, but it also had the technology of the Immersion RC Rapid Fire, which used to be the go-to module for everyone, right? For analog. It had all that switching into it.
Right.
I wish I could remember the name of the system. But you know, they took another one of our hairy, scary situations, innovated a new product, but then DCL bought the rights for it, and then it just never, it would never be affordable to buy. But they're flying over cities and in Europe, and they got the approvals where they needed, and they use low band. I wish I could remember the name that he called it, because we have IMD 6C or something like that. Yeah. So he called it IMD 8. And I'm like, IMD 8, like there's IMD 4, there's the 4 channels that you can use with perfect IMD as promoted by the different calculators and tools. There's 5, 5A, 5C, 6.
Right.
There's no 8, because you can only fly between 5658 and 5917, and race band 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is a negative IMD score. It's terrible. There's no IMD 8, but if you put in low band, you have an IMD 8. And he said it was beautiful. Take away all those problems, because now you can jump around those Wi-Fi routers and access for points and repeaters, but also all those channels are playing well in a better harmonic with IMD 8. So yeah, hopefully, I think digital, I haven't looked that much into it, but I think digital, it's more legal to use. Analog, you'd need a FCC waiver to dabble in those channels, because some of them are like military communications or something like that.
Yeah. You mentioned DCL, and I've asked several people this and see if they saw it. Alex, I was practicing at Alex's house, Alex Campbell, Chief. There was a episode of DCL where they're racing down in, I think it was Germany. I think it was in Germany or something. And this is right in the middle of the heat. And one of the channels, remember the video game Cruising California? It had like the red convertible with the guy riding in it. Did I lose you?
Rudy's storming.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it's raining hard on it.
Yeah.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you, but for some reason my AirPods died.
Okay. What I was saying is there was an episode of or a race at DCL where they're actually in the heat in that old console video game that you'd see in the arcade of, I think it was Cruising California, with the red convertible with the blonde chicks in the back of it. It comes on one of the split channels right in the middle of the race. Somebody had to be broadcasting that on something right in the middle of the race of them just it's like pole position, but better. I thought it was great. Alex is the only person that I've talked to that remembers seeing it, and I was actually watching that. I don't know if it was live, but it was on TV. It was several years ago, well before COVID. But that was you brought up all of that, and it made me remember that. Let me pick your brain on one more topic, and then we'll cut the we'll cut the chat loose and everything. Are you still able to hear us good? You can hear us. I don't think we have audio of you. I think you've muted yourself. There you go.
There you go. Nope.
Yeah. No. We don't have any audio for you. Don't know what's happening.
Nope.
You got audio, Casey?
No audio.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not hearing him.
It's because I think his pods like tried to do a disconnect thing on him or something.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He'll figure it out here in just a second.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's logging out. He'll come right back.
Yeah.
Do we have any pressing questions? I have noticed a lot of people are saying that they're getting interference with Wi-Fi's and things like that. So
I noticed I noticed 2 so far said that, and I've had that experience like on channel 1 in video. Every now and then I get sparkles that won't go away until I change channels. But other than that, with my ELRS, not much.
And I think
Never.
everybody in FPV knows that Mike Bergman's ham is nasty.
Oh yes, that
So,
was
yeah.
serious.
Yeah. It looked like it was raining pretty hard there where Scully was at. So hopefully he can get back to us, but we will move on.
Double A asks this for the second time. Who is with Joe?
I don't know. I don't know if he's by himself or not. He told us in the green room that he was going to an event, a horse event. Is that what he said it was?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he said he was going to a horse event. So
I think they're doing a horse
yeah,
show or something.
I think he's announcing a horse show or something like that. So
definitely.
yeah, I had a couple important questions for him, like is he a cat guy or a dog guy? I think I know the question of that already. Country, rock, or hip hop. You know. But anyway, we will. While we're waiting on him, there's something else I wanted to talk about. I am planning, and the planning has made it so far a little further than it made it for IO, but I'm planning to leave. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know I was off.
Here, let me take that.
There we go. I am planning to leave tomorrow. Meet FPV over here in Nashville. Pick him up and maybe someone else, and we are going to go to Minefield. Let me share that screen. Horse barn. What's that say there, Case?
Horses, barns, and cats, and a couple dogs. 8-bit says. So you're saying you've got all that 8-bit? Wow! If you do, wow.
Horses, barns, and cats, and a couple dogs. Going to Minefield in Brownsville, Tennessee. It is Saturday and Sunday, the 19th and the 20th. But I'm only going to be there Saturday. So if you are in the Brownsville, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee area, Saturday, swing by. I've had a lot of people ask me about Minefield, about my hang on, I'm switching screens here, and it's not happening as clearly as quickly as I want it to. This is Minefield here. This is just looks like a multipathing nightmare, but the people I've talked to that went says that it's fun. This is an event that Ken Herron hosts every year. This will be the 4th one, and I am. If everything goes well, I'm headed that way tomorrow around lunch. But before I do that, tomorrow morning I am picking up the PhatPastor's Calvin Ping on Remote ID t-shirts, and possibly Rise Up and Meet Me in the Air t-shirts and stickers. We'll have those things. Also, let's see if I can do this without causing a huge mess. I'm moving my camera.
Boom, 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 boom,
I don't know if you can see
boom, boom, boom.
display. Where's it at? How do I do it?
Go up a little
The
bit
black
more.
plane right there.
Yep.
And the white plane right there. I'll probably bring those to Minefield and sell them. So if you're there, you're looking for an airplane, and we'll bring a few quads and stuff like that. So if you are there, swing by the PhatPastor booth thing. If they or my tent, I don't know how I'm going to set it up. I don't know if they will, what the accommodations will be. Here he is.
Yeah, he's here.
Hey, you're back.
So yeah, we got a hella rainstorm, so we got soaked.
I saw it.
Yeah.
My son's like, well, why don't you just go in the trailer? I'm like, oh, that would make sense. So,
Well, AA has asked 2 or 3 times in the chat, who's with you?
Marshall's with me. Marshall, I want to say hello to Double A's watching. Remember Double A?
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
He remembers you.
Bought some of you.
What did he say?
He said my friend bought something off you.
Oh,
my
yeah.
son went to his first international open this past summer, and I think I saw him at the start of the event and at the end of the event. He just met so many
Didn't he
friends.
have the lights all over him during the?
Yeah, he was
the whoop tent.
LED kid.
Yeah.
LED kid.
Yeah, I saw him. Let me ask you this. I know you got things going on, and I don't want to keep you.
I missed. All I heard was, I'm sure he'll be back. He's a smart guy.
Yeah. We were saying you were having technical difficulties. I just talked about Minefield, a local event that Ken Herron's having. But I want to show you this. This is something that I'm getting involved with. Let me get back here. Show you this video. I don't know if you can see it, but this is. Let me mute it. Can I mute it? No, I don't know if I can mute it. I'm gonna shut it off. This is it's something that I've come up. Well, I've not come up with it on my own. Well, I just
own it.
Made
just
some
do
stickers.
Yeah, this was my idea.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was my idea. The name is mine. I don't know if you remember. Back in the day, I should have had these pulled out. But back in the day, the video game RC Pro-Am. I don't know if you remember that or not. But anyway, I don't have the sticker here. But these little FPV cars, and move that. These little FPV cars right here. I'm doing what's called FPV Pocket Pro-Am. If you remember I don't know if you remember the Nintendo game RC Pro-Am, and it's basically where you're little RC cars and you're on a track and you're trying to complete a certain amount of laps, but you're also trying to take your buddies out also. And these little SNT cars are
the timing right for the rain.
Oh yeah.
Are you in the middle of your thing still?
Yeah. Perfect timing. I think we're good. We got the power there. Yep. Yeah, unless you want to show me how long are you around for? Okay. Yeah, I'll probably be done in about a half hour, and then if you can show me where, All right, perfect. Thank you.
I don't think I've seen. Yeah, I've seen that.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, we won't keep you much longer, Joe.
You're good.
These little cars, they're SNT cars. This white one here, I bought it from TinyWhoop, Jesse P's store, and the problem with this is they only make many different colors, but the cameras only come with 4 channels. You see the little 4 slots on them, A band.
Yep.
That's it. A1, A3, A5, A7, and you can't race. You can't put more than 3 of them on. You get lucky if you're doing 3, and so what we are doing this. We're going to set that, like you saw that little. Those are just 3 Walmart tables. That little video that I was showing, set up with some barriers on them. And what I've done is taken just one of these FPV cameras and pulled it apart. And of course, this has got race band and all of that on it. And from what my initial, this is still very new in the infancy on this, is the younger guys that are think, oh, FPV's cool, TinyWhoops are cool, but not met the learning curve yet. This is something that just about anybody can do. If the goggles don't make you sick, you can do this. And so, any pointers for calling a RC car race? Because I'm thinking on the 25th, 24th, and 25th, I will be doing just that, and we won't be doing timing with it. We'll just be first person, finish 5 laps or 6 laps. That's the winner.
Yeah, but you got the VTX, you got the pucks, you got the nuclear hazard on its way. I mean, I would time it. So so my introduction to racing, I mean, rodeo barrel racing is not the same thing. It was actually the RC cars, and fifth scale was cool because they're big, the size of skateboards, got chainsaw motors in them, right? They're loud. But then I started doing 8 scale and 10 scale, and they're all like the exact same paint scheme, body. They all look the same, right? And so that's where I learned really how to call a race when you don't know what's going on. So what I would do is I would watch a car go across the loop, and it would ping on the scoring computer. And so I'm watching that off the corner of my eye while I'm talking about someone over here that I've been following, right? So, here's your leader. He's about to go on to lap number 56. No one near him. But the closest guy to him is actually halfway, half a lap back. That's so-and-so. He's by the Daytona over there. And so now I'm following him. And so, I wait to the ping because they all look the same. But all of a sudden, as soon as you ping, then I follow that one around. So the very first drone race, again, that we ran with timing, Ryan Gurry was our top qualifier at it. That was same sort of thing. Like, we didn't have screens. We didn't have a DVR for that first race. It wasn't until the summer and then the fall we got a DVR and ground station. So same sort of thing. I would look at the scoring system and then follow line of sight the quad on sports. And so to make it flow, that's where I'm like always trying to watch too. Now, when it comes to FPV, that's where everyone's like, well, how does he do it? Like when we're doing qualifying, we're doing 8 at a time. When we do brackets, it's a little easier at 4. But I use that crossing. That really helps. It kind of slaps you in the face. Okay, this person did a lap. But then now instead of watching line of sight, you can follow FPV. But as I call a race, I kind of have the track in check boxes.
Right.
Each component, right? So you got the ladder up, the ladder down, the dive gate. And so you just try and memorize that. So as you see FPV, someone going to the ladder gate, and then you see someone else go to the dive gate, dive gate's ahead of ladder gate. But the guy who taught me everything about RC car racing or calling races, he was a guy who raced anything 2-wheel, moto, dirt bikes, you name it. And he always said, Scully, who cares about the leader? Who cares about the top qualifier? Call the battles. And so I'm always looking for stereo optic, or I like to call visual stereo, but stereo optic, seeing the exact same image twice. Now you got a battle, when you got eight screens, if you see 2 the same, that's your battle. And you hear all my, it's a battle for the 5, it's a battle for the 3. And maybe it's really, I might stand up when it's a battle for the lead, but, call the battles. Because whether you're invested in the race or vested in, you always everyone cheers on the underdog, and you want to see that pass. With FPV, we feature that pass, right?
Right.
So, calling line of sight, I mean, it was fun. There's an Australian who lives in Canada. David is his name. He was a commentator for all the wing races at IO. We had him call wing races there, and at the Drone Nationals and stuff, they had him call races there. And he calls those wing races line of sight, like, I call an FPV race, and I'm like, how in the heck do you keep track of it? Because when you're looking at the sky, you can't tell. You don't have the check boxes. But the only difference is with wings are bigger, and so you can see the near passes. But yeah, with FPV, it's always those check boxes. And RC cars, just pick them up on the loop. It's that's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And again, you got like 14 timers, so
Right.
so
And
put 'em
I
up on
don't
the
know
loop.
if you saw that little track there that I built. It had like a blue cone in one corner. That's actually just a kid's bowling pin. It's and then a rubber ducky. So like and my thinking with that is having visual cues that not only you can see line of sight, but that they'll see as they are passing on the FPV. You can barely see it here in the left. That the ones that the one on the left is a little bit behind. The one on the right's in the curve, and they're near the one on the right's just past the red pin, which is down there. And so you could actually talk that through. But these little cars, the funny thing about these cars is I'm using a Hawkeye 4-eyes on this. It won't pick up the cars which are on A band. On A band, it picks them up on B band, but all the goggles pick them up on A band. It's kind of weird. I don't know that they're 100%.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this takes me back. It's like it says one thing, but it's probably something else. That's instantly where I go RF Explorer. And I'm like, what channel are you really on, right?
Yeah.
We've had BTXs and antennas that are crashed. It may not come from the factory junk. And I know someone said, sometimes you have to be a really hard race director. I kind of built my whole, because I was the race director in the very beginning, and I built my whole rapport with people, and I still do it now because I have some authority at these races. But, if we can, with little difficulty, let's make it work, right? So sometimes I'll RF Explorer, well, you think you're on this, but you're on that channel, and we're going to change everything over here. So you don't have to change channel because at least we know where you are right now, right? But I would like, especially an inexpensive VTX, it may, and I don't have all the channels memorized. The guy who has them memorized is Chris Thomas. Like he could probably name off easily 20 of the 40 frequencies,
Right.
Me, I only got a handful, but and those could be, a lot of stuff in drone racing, is repurposed, right? Those old security cameras no one uses anymore. And all of a sudden, Fox here releases a new antenna or a new camera. But it may say A band, but it's actually B band, and so they just call it different. Like there was a time where instead of saying immersion would call Fat Shark bands immersion IRC bands. So IRC1 was Fat Shark 1, right? And so it was I1. And so you're trying to figure that out. And then some of the video transmitter manufacturers were using that, which was really confusing.
Right.
But that's just one example. So I would, if you can get a spectrum analyzer like the RF Explorer, I would double check, especially those smaller, more inexpensive VTXs, because that may be your problem there.
Right. Yeah.
It thinks it says it's A3, but it's actually like B3 or B4.
Right. Well, now the Fat Shark goggles and my HD0 goggles reads it on A1, but that Hawkeye 4-eyes, I haven't checked it with my HD0 race event VRX yet. I'll check it with that later.
But
the issue with that is it could be slightly off, right? Like you may be getting, like it may just be like, I can't remember which bands, but there's two bands and they're just staggered by a little bit. One starts lower than the other. And so that's where you'll see it on this channel, but you'll also see it on that other channel as well, right? Because it's in the middle.
Right.
So that's where like an RF Explorer, I mean, if you don't have one, obviously going through the channels is good. Especially if you have a module that shows you the power level. So you're like, well, I'm getting it on the goggle on A3, but look at my module says it's weaker, so let's go to a different band and see,
if it pulls up, like I've had to do that out in the field too, like go and see, well, a different band, okay, it's way stronger there. So, you know, we're going to narrow down the
Right.
hunt.
Right.
Um,
I've actually wrote down to look into getting an RF Explorer. So
mm.
are they now? Is that actually like a box or something, or is it software or what?
So the RF Explorer, it's a piece of hardware. So it's silver. It's about the size of a cell phone. Has an antenna on it, and then I think off their website you get the software for free, and that's one that I use. It's relatively easy to go through and pre-program your frequencies so that they're little dots, and then there's a little more complex way, but you can actually have the bars. So you can see, you want to make sure that someone's right in the middle and they're not bleeding over, like Timmy Tron in Australia does that in all his live streams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a great piece of equipment. So like I'm going to Australia, I'm going to an event where they have everything. They run races all the time. And I mean, I got the Facebook message, bring your power meter. He has an RF Explorer. I'll bring mine anyway, but you know, I bring a timer because I have multiple ones, and you never know when something happens, like it gets hit or something like that, right? So I'm packing light to this one, but I got a timer because you don't have a race without timing and scoring. I got laptops, obviously, same thing, power meter, RF Explorer, and I'm set.
Yeah, Amazon's got it for 209. Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right.
I was.
Yeah, I've already pulled it up. So,
Me
I'll look into that. I'll get it off this glowing screen. Well, let's for one, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll open up if anybody's got. I think Casey's been watching the chat pretty closely. Do you have any questions? Do you have anything you want to ask us or whatever? It's just, I've asked all that I know to ask.
Well, I mean, I'm excited that you've got a chapter. You're hosting races. You said that you had taken over a chapter that was a little more dormant. So one of the things, so MultiGP brought me on was a contractor 2021, and he spends a lot of money on the company. He's our biggest sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always been there, but we've had a changing of the guard. At one point, this was closely after Hammergate, Chris is like, well, we need a dad to clean up our messes. And so that's where he brought in a president. So we've had numerous people running the organization, and I took my run for when we were between guys for the longest, for about 6 or 7 months that I had my turn running the organization. And last year and a bit, my career is just going in 19 different directions. And now we have a new team. We have a new COO instead of CEO. Clara, if you've seen in the Facebook group, is now at the top of the pyramid. And a whole bunch of other people that are running the organization. They're making decisions, as we've seen on Facebook, some decisions liked and some maybe not everyone a fan of, but one of the things, and I've been so removed, I'm still in the Slack. I kind of have a bit of the pulse, but I know that one of the things that they're really trying to do in 2023, 2024 is remove some of the chapters that are inactive. One of the things that they're trying to do is find people like yourself that were active in the chapter, like, hey, let's get this chapter back up and running again. Because if it isn't for the chapter organizers, it isn't for the chapters, we don't have the races. I mean,
right.
I've been a big believer in what MultiGP has been about, and that's giving the tools for people to be able to host races. There's a great support system, not always taken advantage of, but there's chapter organizer groups, so you can meet like-minded people. Maybe, they're just starting to get into, well, I'm in the timing. We have, in those groups, people would be like, well, this happened at a race. What would your call be? And having that community feedback from different chapters is great. And so they're really trying to rekindle some of those chapters, open up areas for development.
and we really want to, get back on to where we were when we started. I mean, drone racing was exciting. Lots of people were hosting races and chapters, and we're seeing, a lot of chapters fall off. And so there's a big push to regroup and get more active chapters out there. And, when I explain MultiGP to someone who has no idea what we're talking about, I'm like, it's the dream that you can win a national championship or an international championship or qualify to go there from basically your backyard. And,
right.
We were upwards of 550 chapters. We now have probably about 300 that are active. And, we'd like to get back up there again. And we're, I don't want to talk too much out of school again, not that I've been attending school that much, but they're also trying to get more the mentorship back in there. And and in the beginning, at our first MultiGP, the first MultiGP championship was invitational in 2015. Our first official championship there was a multi-tiered qualifying system, and that was our first event at the Academy of Model Aeronautics. We actually had a seminar. We brought in all the chapters. It was really exciting. Chapters from all over the United States doing a conference for an entire day. And we had like guest speakers, like, Trappy was there talking about his new timing system. And one chapter they had built, because we were using IR, infrared, for timing at that time. And they had designed their own unit that would have the beam almost fully encompass the gate, and so they did a whole thing on it, and the energy at that event, and we've hosted a couple of those since, was second to none. And so I would look to see more of that coming from the organization in the future. And I mean, really, I had the floor for a second. I just want to say thanks for doing what you're doing to grow drone racing, or re-spark drone racing around you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yes.
I want to thank you for coming out. I know you're a busy man and got a lot going on tonight, but anytime you're welcome back on the channel. You've got my contact information on Messenger and all of that. So I hope this event isn't a washout for you where you're at. So
this one's indoors, but we rolled up and it's still raining, and so I have to plug the trailer in, put the jacks down and all that in the rain. But the rest of the week I'll be indoors. And this event is it's a horse show type event, and so not as exciting as a drone race or a rodeo, but it's
like barrel racing
an
or
excuse
something
to get away for the weekend. It's not as exciting as that either. No, it's called reining. So they basically have 3 minutes, and they have a million different classes, and then they have a pattern that they have to perform that day in that class, and then they're judged. And so there'll be like 10, and then so my role, really where I get to be the Scully that will be like talking about sponsors in between, maybe hyping some of the marquee events at night, but mostly it's just who's up, who's on deck, who's in the hole. Here's your score. Thanks for coming out.
Double A asked you this question. He says, does Joe like the fact that he gets to stay on location at IO camping?
So in the past, I've driven down, but still had a hotel. This past year, we brought our trailer down, and it was way different staying on site. Now, every single year, at least one night, I stay in my vehicle. I kind of have a thing with Jesse P that one night is usually the one after World Cup that I say I'm going to TinyWhoop until the break of dawn, and I've done that 5 out of 6 IOs.
Wow.
And they usually wake me up at about 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, or it's too hot in the vehicle, and I roll out. This year was a little bit of a different vibe. But
got to lay in a bed, right?
Every night, and not having to worry about getting back to the hotel and in that rush in the morning. It's a game changer for me. We got our first camper trailer, I think, in 2018, and
I went to Ready Made RC's FPV Fest, which is at the or was at the Flight Test Park, Edgewater Air Park.
Yep.
And I took my son to that. That was his first event out, and he had a blast as well. And so we got to. It took us 4 years, but I brought him out to IO, and he had a blast. Met so many people. Built his first quad, and he's crashed all of my stuff at home, and so he's into it. He loves it, and that's exciting because you know, it was a 9.5 hour drive home, so I had something to talk about racing with I was talking about, which was kind of nice. And it's definitely a game changer for me to stay on site at International Open. I used to have a smaller horse trailer that didn't have all the luxuries of a camper trailer, and then when I got my first trailer, I'm like, what was I thinking to be able to,
right,
you know, now before like
I
wake
just got
up,
one
have a
this year.
shower, or like midday, or the best tip after every event, my favorite thing to do, time willing, is the post-event shower. So I have to tear down a lot of gear, even at events where I'm not bringing in the gear. I'm there the next day, so I help tear down as much as I usually help set up. So you're dirty, sweaty, and it before you get on that road, having that post-show shower that's my jam. That's my go-to.
That's the worst part of every race is the tear down. Your son's name's Marshall?
Yes. Like after Marshall Mathers.
Okay. Yeah. Tell him if you've got my messenger info, if you will send me your address, I will send him out some Fat Pastor stickers and even the coveted
oh, look at that
remote ID sticker. So
you'll love it.
I'll send him out some.
He also loves that we're in Canada and we don't have to worry about that yet.
That's right. Yet.
The magic word there.
Right. Yeah. So all right.
Showers and 4 hours of sleep, said Double A.
Yeah. 4 hours of sleep. See, that's one of the things. And if you've been to IO, he's going to be on next week. Philiblaster is going to be on the show. He's actually the first global qualifier I went to. I was invited by Phil, and he was actually over my shoulder telling me how to fly it and all that. So Phil and I go back to some of my earlier times in FPV when I'd had a brain injury and I was recovering from that and getting back into RC. And he's invited me from like day one. He's like, "Oh man, you've got to go to IO. It is like it is great." And I was like, "Well, explain to him." He's like, "It's 5 days. You like camp out." And I was like, "No." Like, look at this. No, I don't camp out. And so this past year, I'd planned. I'd had the room, and it wasn't actually in Muncie. It was in the town that was southwest of Muncie a little bit. I think it was. I don't remember the name of it, but I had the room. I was going to do the hotel room and come up and just kind of take it easy, and I wasn't able to make it. But it's on my list for next year, so maybe I'll get to see you next year face to face at IO, and thank you, and hopefully your son will enjoy some Fat Pastor stickers and stuff like that. But thank you, Joe, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to our channel, and it's just been an honor to me to get time to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
That was great to tell some of those old stories.
Yeah. Is there anything that Fat Pastor's channel can do for you?
No, I mean, maybe we can talk a little closer to the MultiGP championship, and maybe we can do a pop on there and talk about some of the highlights. I know we're still working on that roster.
Yes.
Those 75 pilots, a pro.
Anytime I tell people, you've got my contact information now. Anytime you see how easy it is to log on, if you want to log on for 10 minutes and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing this week," just let me know. And, I don't have to make a big thumbnail. Joe Scully's going to be on this one. If something doesn't work out where you can't make it, or you can't make it that week, you can do it next week. Then yeah, this channel is open for that and all of that. And then I just want to thank you for taking your time to share with us. I've learned a lot.
Yes.
I had no idea about wires crossing the
Me
VTX
too.
would cause problems.
Me
I think
neither.
I've run into that.
Same.
I
Same.
think I've run into it. So
quite recently, actually, and I'm gonna test that theory out. I think that might fix an issue I have on one of my quads. So that's pretty interesting.
yeah, it's showing that we don't have any signal for Joe right now. Don't
Oh
know.
no! Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
whoa!
he dropped out. So yeah, we'll let him go if you're still able to hear us, Joe.
There he is.
He's back. He's back again.
The
You're
old
back again.
rainstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It showed us that your signal dropped out, but I don't know if you heard all of that. Anytime you want to drop in for 5 minutes, something like that, just send me a message on Messenger, and I'll drop you a link, and you can come and promote whatever you got going. And I would love to repay the favor any way I can for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll meet face to face sooner than later.
Yes, that would be amazing.
All right.
Let's get that antenna straightened out, Casey.
That's right.
He's getting an RF Explorer. He's going to come hunting for you.
Hey,
I'm gonna sniff him. I'm gonna sniff him down. So
you got to stay on it, right?
Yeah. Well, thanks a
all right,
lot,
guys.
Joe.
Have a great night.
Yes.
Hey,
you too.
Too, brother.
Thank you.
And stay safe out there.
Yes. All right.
Amazing.
What an icon in the FPV world. I am going to take uno momento pause for the calls. I want to get some. If y'all haven't noticed, this thing is empty. I've drunk like 3 bottles of water today and tonight, and I've got to go get rid of that. But I'll be right back. Casey, tell them about Minefield.
Cool. Alrighty then. So I am so super excited about going to my field. Actually, this will be my first time ever. Look at it. He's like, I'm listening to you. But I'm super excited. Hopefully, as long as everything keeps going as well as it does, it's looking good. How about you all? How many of you all are going? That would be very interesting to get to see some of you there. Of course, I know some of you are too far away probably to make it. Let's see. Oh, and you said off-grid everything. You said had video issues before, and you found out it was ELRS 900 wires too close to the VTX. Fixed it shortly after. Very interesting indeed, because here recently I've been like messing with this little lightweight build, and I moved the wires away from the top of the VTX, which was really close to the receiver, and I noticed a difference, but I thought maybe it was because my wires were across the VTX, not the other way around, which now I'm going to try that because it makes sense. Let's see, and let's see here. Any of you share some stuff? I think you did. And what about that? That was very, very, very exciting indeed. I'm trying to pull up something here, and it's being stubborn. Double A says, I wish I could go. Just did 2,500 miles and need to stay put for a minute. Well, I reckon so. Wow. It'll be actually the most traveling I've done in quite a, well, other than, you know, the recent races that we've done and stuff. This will be the most that I'm traveling distance-wise in a while. Because I travel all the time. Like, I don't get a break from traveling. Let's see. There's Marty.
I can't believe you didn't Can't believe you didn't see me sticking my head in and out there. I gotta get a water.
Double A says he wishes he could go. He just did 2,500 miles though, and needs to stay put for a
Whew.
minute. Yeah, he
That's
says
a lot.
Yeah, and then Off Grid said maybe he can get a passport for next year. Yeah, that would be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Or just build you a quad and fly the quad to the event. Then you won't need no passport, nothing, unless they stop you. Land your quad now. Hey, y'all said I could fly experimental aircraft without any license, remember?
Before anybody says anything, I didn't leave to go to the restroom, and now I'm drinking. This is lemonade.
The restroom.
This is lemonade. So yeah, don't know that we'll belabor too much longer.
Got some
I did. I did purchase 2 more cameras because I've got 5 of these cars, and I intend to outfit 3 of them. This is an even smaller 25 milliwatt VTX that I'm probably going to put on this red one here. And for those of you that are watching and that are in the neighborhood and all of that, the plan is to, because I've had a lot of people ask me, what's the plan? And I haven't really settled on what the plan completely was until today. The plan is that, and I don't know all the final details on it, is Casey's going to get his way up to Nashville.
Yep.
Probably, right? That's not a definite, right?
No.
Or
I've got.
You've already got your ticket?
Oh yeah, I paid for them earlier today, to and from.
All right.
Yeah.
So he's coming up.
Oh yeah.
I think we got another pilot that's going to probably meet us somewhere. I don't know if I haven't seen him on in a while. I'm not going to say any names on it. He's still on?
He is. Just with his children.
And we'll probably have to set up where I'm going to meet. Stayed in a yurt.
Yeah.
Stayed in a yurt on Lookout Mountain yesterday before we pulled away and went to visit Ruby Falls. Yeah, I can remember when I was a kid. I was probably about 12. Went to see Ruby Falls. We went to Lookout Mountain all the time. See Rock City and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, Ruby Falls was the biggest letdown in the world to me as a kid, because you've seen the pamphlets and and it's like you ride an elevator down to watch water come out of a rock.
It's a lot. Well, there's a lot different now, but still.
And it's got a red light on it that makes it look like it's ruby. And to like a 12, 13-year-old kid that grew up in the country, I'm like, I saw that down in the holler while I was swinging on Grapevine.
So or while I was caving.
Now the Lost Sea. If you've never been to the Lost Sea, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Go in there and it's got all the big, huge fish with no eyeballs and stuff like that. So, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. People's like, oh no, he's got the cars out again. It's gonna be another 4-hour stream. No, not gonna be another 4-hour stream tonight. I've got to get up early. I got to go get the shirts and the stickers. Those of you that were supposed to have stickers sent out this week, they should go out tomorrow in the mail. And that's snail mail. So most of you from the first round should have already gotten your stickers. If you did not get your stickers from the winnings or membership. Let me. Oh, I'm supposed to do.
Oh yeah. By the way, they came. They came. Yeah. Got my
Let me
first round.
put this across the top here. Wait, I need to edit it, don't I? Because I need
Yes.
to add somebody. And we have a new member. What's his real name? What's his channel name? Got it. Yeah, that's it there. Yeah, you could see the star beside his name. He said, "I'm back."
There he is. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, brother. Quick response. That's great. 90-foot drop plus another 55 past the main. Oh, he must be talking about the Ruby Falls. Double A.
Oh, there we go. Supposed to show that everything, but yeah, we're up to a huge whopping 4 members now on the channel. Thank you guys for your support. For those of you that are channel members, like I said, all the new channel members, your stickers and stuff should go out tomorrow in tomorrow's mail. Zach, I am probably, if we end up meeting up, I'm probably just going to hand you yours. So I could save, what, 75 cents on a stamp or whatever they are now. So
yeah, definitely not cheap.
So now they keep going up. So yes, so the plan is, that's where I was at when I had to, when my bladder was about to pop. The plan is to head down tomorrow, probably around 10 or 11ish, leave out Nashville around that time, and that will, from where I'm at, that'll put us getting in Brownsville probably probably around 1 or 2. Get something to eat or something and see if there's any setting up going on at Minefield. If there is, I want to set up a table, a tent, with a table and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll just take it from there. We'll probably end up doing an impromptu live stream from my phone, kind of like I did in Pigeon Forge, walking around harassing people or something. Depends on what kind of bandwidth I've got there, because it'll have to be from my mobile phone. So that's the plan. And next week on the channel is Filibuster. If you went to I.O. the past couple of years, I'm sure you know Filibuster. He's a friend of mine, been a friend for a while. He's supposed to be on the show. I think, pretty sure that next week is when we start the 8 o'clock time, when the show will move from 7 to 8. You'll see that when we boost it in the thumbnail there. Oh,
hey, there's Gage Coast. What's going on at Brownsville, he says.
Minefield. Let me show you again. I will share my screen again, but I've learned with this program, with a Google, whatever, the Google Chrome window, you have to share the individual tabs of that window. So
yeah.
let's show this one. And Lordy. Right here, it's Minefield 4.0. This is Ken Herron is sponsoring this.
Oops.
Yeah. Oh, that works. The writing works there.
Yeah.
And it
Okay.
is the 19th and the 20th. But I'm only going to be there the 19th, and it is in Brownsville, Kentucky. It says parking. Let me see. Y'all should be able to see that, but I'm going to play with some toys here. They're working on
Oh yeah.
parking. Plenty of parking for RVs and cars. Facilities, free Wi-Fi in the restrooms. You get your free Wi-Fi in the restrooms. Minefield Grill is available for food orders, and you can stay in local hotels. And there is camping in a field nearby it. So yeah, this is basically, if you're not familiar with it, go on to Ken Herron's channel and let's see. Oh, yeah, see, here's I-40. Give you an idea of where it's at. Here is there's Memphis. It's just right up the road from Memphis, Jackson. We're going to be leaving Casey there in Henderson. That's where he's going to leave there and walk down to Selmer.
Yeah,
and
the capital.
And I'll be up there at Martin. So
now where's Kingsville at?
I don't see Kingsville or Zaxville, either one. Zaxonian.
I was waiting.
So yeah, this is about Jackson is about 2 hours 45 minutes maybe west of me, and that's yep. I will be there just Saturday. I have obligations. I will be back. Those of you from church watching, I will be back for Sunday church. So, yeah, I'll share this screen. I had to close the other one to give you a little idea of what. Come on. I was trying to look for a better picture of Minefield. It's just this big bunch of metal to fly through. So, Phil is a great guy. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Double A. That's all right, Gage. We accept people showing up at any time.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, if you're in the Western Tennessee area, Mississippi River area, swing by. There's I don't know that I'm going to get very many sales on my peeing on DJI stickers because Ken Herron, there's a lot of DJI guys there. So but I'm not going there just to sell stuff. I'm going there to have fun, meet people, get out, and have a good time.
Yes.
Hopefully, if you can make it, I will see you there. Not, and catch up with you at another time and location. There it is.
Yeah.
That's the minefield. Visit our site. Let's see what
It
happens.
almost looks scary for a minute, but then it's beautiful art.
Well, it goes to another tab, and yeah, Google Chrome doesn't let me do it. It stays on the other one.
What?
Yeah, be a good place to have some software. But yeah. Here, the Billy Tripp built this thing, and he's actually, from what Ken's got a video about it, so you can go on and watch Ken's video. explaining about what it is, what it ain't, and all of that. So, yeah.
Gonna get some amazing cinematic shots for sure from there, if nothing else, because yeah, you can definitely either get some great shots or get some great damage.
All right. Cool. Thanks, man. I'm in Lyles. Maybe we could meet for a fly sometime. I'm 40 minutes west of Nashville. Sure. If you will pass right by you, I think. Yeah. I'm actually an hour north of Nashville. So, yeah. And Casey's 2.5 hours, about 2 hours, 40 minutes east of Nashville, southeast of Nashville. He's down there near Chackalackanuga.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Chat Town.
Time to break some quads. Yep.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I haven't been before, but looking forward to going and having a good time, meeting some people, and definitely if you go and Ken comes up to you and says, "Hey man, why don't you try to do this?" You are going to break a quad, because that's, if you've watched any of Ken's videos, he's like, "Hey, let's try this," and every time it's like a quad breaks or something. So, I actually met.
Ends up having to climb. I'm not doing no climbing.
I ain't climbing up in the top of no ball up in the top of, up there that water tower. No.
You're like, oh well, lot $300 quad. See ya. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We're just gonna fly Casey's quads.
Yeah, let's just do that.
That's it.
You can break them all as long as you buy them. No, I'm just joking. You can break them all anyways.
Well, I think it's a place where there will be some broken quads there for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just don't know how much there's going to be stepping on people and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that. So,
Mobile showed up before the Sunday Veteran Food Bank Race. Mobile 6, says Blizzard FPV.
Oh yeah, the Mobile. I have the Mobile. I put it in the fractal frame, but I have never made the switch to Quicksilver with it. That's a video coming up. I might do that this weekend when I got people, or this no, not this weekend, at the coming Whoop race, because I would like to get some other people to fly it, stock beta flight, and then put Quicksilver on it and compare it. So yeah, that's the Mobile. I'm actually, I was hoping to get my Mobile 8 review done, but it's not going to be done before I leave. I'll take my iPad with me so I can work on it. I don't sleep much, so
yeah. Yeah, right. I'm definitely gonna have things to do while sitting there going nuts, wanting to go to sleep. It's like, well, might as well get something done.
That's it.
Yeah.
But
he says, oh, and Off Grid said, nice, Blizzard.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have been going 2 hours and 19 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes. We're going to wrap this show up. I've charged some batteries. Sad time here in PhatPastor'sville. I had like 20 of these 2S 525 batteries, 550 batteries, and I left them in the Airbnb at Sevierville, where we were at Pigeon Forge, and I think I left them on the front porch. Maybe the guy that owns the Airbnb said he couldn't find them. There was a goat literally a neighbor's goat kept getting out and getting on the front porch of the Airbnb. I didn't see it, but some of the other guys did. And we were sitting out there before we leave, and I think I set it down about right beside the rocker. And if I did, I'm sure that goat has carried that bag off some. So
Oh gosh. Oh man, that's not.
so yeah, it had about 20 of the GNB 550s, and the these are the ones that I just threw in my bag that were discharged. All of them were that were still charged were in a lipo bag. So I've only got 5 to take with me, but I've got a charger.
Yeah.
I've got a power bank. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So all right, guys, that we're gonna wrap this show with that, and I want to thank everybody. Thank you for the super chats tonight. I want to thank, big shout out, big thank you to Joe Scully for coming and being a part of my channel. What I'm trying to do here with the community, and we're going to have some more. There's some talks for some names that maybe you haven't seen before. We're not only going to try to get big names like Joe Scully and Zotek and people like that, but we're also going to be having some of our own people on. I've talked with Double A and some of the other people. They're going to be coming on as guests when we can work out the schedule. Lee from Painless 360, we're going to try to work out a time for him. Nick Burns, Kevin and Evan Turner, E-Drone coming on, I think September 7th, I think it is. He's coming on. Yeah, we've just got Lamone and I always have it on the tip of my mind, and it always leaves. Always think Shoe Pilot when I try to think of him. Because he looks like a guy I used to go to school with. All I think of is either Shoe Pilot or Terry, and I know his name's not Terry.
What about the one that's always in Lamone's videos, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. It's
I can't think of his name either.
Man, that's bad. I feel sorry. I hope you're not watching.
Please.
That I don't remember your name. I'm sorry.
Please don't judge.
Ivan. But anyway, we're trying to work that out to have them on. Our channel's kind of conflict. They come on and they've been having guests on Thursday nights around this time. So Neil, that's your name. It just comes. Thank you, Brain. Yeah, Neil. I was going to have them on separate, but I think it would be good to have them on together. I don't know. We might work it out. It might be better to have them on separate. Let Neil get a little bit of and each one of them have their own spotlight for a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, one-on-one. Yeah.
We'll see how that works out. I want to try to get in touch with Alex Campbell, see if he wants to come on, be a part of what we're doing here. So we got a lot of things lined up. This race we'll be doing. We're going to try to actually call a Pocket Pro-Am race.
Yes,
and
that would be so great.
I intend to have at least one more quad wired up with another video camera other than just the A band, so we could run 2 in A band and 2 in R band or whatever. And because it's when you get 4 cars on a 12-inch wide track, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
You get to I did it with my deacons when we went up there, and one of them, he just took it upon himself. He's like, I'm. He didn't say this out loud, but this was his thinking. What he shared with us. Like, I'm not going to win. I'm not fast enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just crash into everybody I can crash into, and try to. He turned it basically into bumper cars for him, and he was having a good time with that. So, and then another one
great.
of them, the goggles making him sick, so he was driving line of sight, and me and the other two was trying to race, and it was it's fun. It's fun. It's different than TinyWhoops. It's different than MultiGP racing. But it's fun. So it's something that hopefully it takes off, and hopefully my wish with it is, or my vision for it is that it brings more people into F, gets more people flying light aircraft or low flying aircraft. So, yeah. But I can keep talking. I do need to end this. I gotta get my stuff packed up, make sure my radios are all charged and everything, and Casey's got to get his stuff because he's getting on a bus.
Yeah.
And heading to Nashville with squirrels. If you're going to be in Nashville at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're leaving from Chackalackanuga pretty early, aren't you?
Yeah, I got to get up at like 5.
Well, we should just stay on a few more hours. You won't even have to go to sleep.
Yeah. No, I probably won't even be able. Shoot, I'll probably be up till about midnight or so, getting things ready and just not even able to sleep if I tried. Probably anyway. I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Just can't hide it.
No. Are you about to lose control?
I think I want to. I want to.
Oh, really? All right, we're getting delirium. It's like it's time to stop. Fat Pastor, the delirium has hit.
We just lost 12.
Yeah, we're down to 6. We're down to 6 viewers. They're like, he's getting crazy now.
Yeah. Nope, down to 2 now. Yeah. It'd be funny if it actually bounced up. Like, oh, hey, they got an after party going on. Come check this out.
All right. Well, before I start charging, that's what I was doing. I was actually starting to charge some batteries. You probably heard the beep.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, for all of you guys that are a regular part of Hang Time here, and thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Everything goes well. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes.
I guess I'll see you tomorrow, whether I end up going to Minefield or not. So, because somebody got to come get your hind end from the bus station.
I mean, I hope so. I don't want to sit downtown Nashville for too long. It might become somebody's lunch.
Well, you know that bookstore that's near stay away from that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You see them all hanging out there.
Yeah. That guy that was arguing with nobody was there the other time.
That was something.
He was arguing with nobody.
Yes, literally.
or everybody. So, all right. I'm trying to close this thing out. So, if I wait 30 more seconds, it'll be 2 hours and 30 minutes. So, let's still for 30 seconds. So, I want to thank everybody for
have fun at Minefield.
Yeah. So, yes, we're going to have a good time. And if things work out, you'll see a little bit of live stream from it here on the channel. So, I want to thank everybody for your support of the channel. Casey, see you tomorrow, man.
See you tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you all for having me. I'm glad to see you all again. Hopefully we'll see some of you tomorrow. That'd be awesome. But
I cut him off a little bit. He'll be all right. He's good. He was done. He was motioning for me in the green room. I'm done. Cut me off. Stick a fork in me. So yeah, thank you guys for everything. Another great stream. Wow. Joe Scully. Great guest. Hopefully I can have on XJet, Bruce from XJet also, talking to him also. Wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, remember, keep flying. Hang on, I'm trying to. There we go. Okay, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, remember, keep flying and rise up and meet me in the air.
It's insane!
Thank you, Blizzard.